I was walking the other day by by the lake, and it was nice. It was quiet night. It was starting to be nice here in Minnesota. It was very nice, lovely evening. It was very calm. And then as I go around to the north side of the lake, I hear these voices, and they get louder and louder and louder. It's these two guys. And they're just screaming back and forth. And, I'm a very conciliatory guy by nature, so I stop. And I said, guys, what's going on? Surely it's nothing that we can't work out. And they're like, it's K. And the other guy's like, no, it's C. And I realized that that's kind of what I've heard them screaming, but I didn't, with no context, it just sounded like nonsense to me. What's K? What's C? Why can't we get along? And they said, well, he called me a chatty Cathy via text message earlier, and he spelled it with a C. And he's like, it is spelled with a C. And the other guy's like, no, it's not. It's spelled with a K. And I was like, well, I can help settle this right now. Chatty Cathy. Chatty is absolutely spelled with a C. And the one guy almost punched me in the face. I was like, well, I'm just trying to understand. You're the guy's framing it this way. And he's like, just listen. It's the Cathy part that starts with a C. And I was like, I've seen it that way a number of times, yes. And the other guy's like, no, it starts with a K. And I was like, I've seen people spell it that way. And he's like, when you say it, do you mean Chatty Cathy or just the name Cathy? And I had to confess, it was just the name Cathy. I couldn't recall how I had seen Chatty Cathy spelled. I didn't know if it was always the same or different. And I told them as much, and they're like, well, then you don't know anything. And both of them kind of rose up, and they're like, Chatty Cathy is a very serious expression that is only expressed one way. It's spelled with a, and then at the same time, one of them said C and one of them said K. So up to then, they had been in complete tandem. I was like, guys, I've never seen anyone that felt so strongly about this. And they're like, then you haven't been around people that we care about, so we don't care about you. If you don't get why this matters, then just get away. So I did start sort of backing away. I was like, I'll leave you to it. I have no interest in getting further embroiled in this kind of, I felt it was a little overblown. I think you could spell Chatty Cathy with a C or with a K. As long as if you try to spell it with a GHYGH, I might be like, okay, explain you show your work, explain your reasoning. But the way it was fine. It was fine. I thought it was fine. These guys didn't agree, and that's their right. So I backed away, and they got louder and louder again, like they were before, just screaming at each other. Within seconds, they said, I'm going to fight you. And the other one said, I'm going to fight you. And they were so mad, and I had already tried that I didn't intervene. I was like, this is serious. I got my phone ready to call the police to report a fight if that's what happened, but I wasn't going to call just because they were yelling they were going to fight each other. Um, but what actually happened was beyond what I expected. One of them said, "I wish you weren't my brother," and I realized these were two two brothers, not just two people arguing about this. I'm like, wow, maybe the reason they're taking it so seriously is because there's some other issues there. And I was still backing away. I could only basically still hear what was happening because how loud they were, not because I was prying. I wasn't. I gave up intervening, as I said. Yeah, I take my word for that. I was not just saying that to look good in retrospect. I was very much far away. I could only hear them because they were screaming, and they were screaming. And when one of them said they were going to fight the other one punched him in the eye like really hard. I was like, oh my God, this has gotten way more physical and serious than I thought very quickly. So I punched 911, but before I could hit send, the other brother reached down the throat of the brother that had punched him and pulled out his spleen. And I was aghast. This was one of the most gruesome, grisly things I had seen in my life. It was squelching and just a grotesque color I can't describe, like a lima bean that got out of hand. And it was covered in blood and it was oozing. And the brother with the spleen held it triumphantly and says, "You spell it with a C or you spell it with spleen." I was like, it's a pretty good line for him to just to come up with like that because I don't know that he knew he was going to come out with the spleen. Somehow we all knew what it was. We didn't think he was like gallbladder. No, we knew it was. I mean, you could just something about the smell. Like, if you're a grown man, you know what it's. Um, but his brother looked at him before he collapsed. He looked at him. It's like, you stupid son of a bitch. You can't. Not only do you not spell it with a K, but don't you know spleen isn't down my throat? You stupid son of a bitch. You can't even grab an organ right.